Off top, Scotland's national animal is a unicorn. Play the music.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
All right, welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show. We are doing a deep dive into college football with two of my favorite college football people, Spencer Hall and Lucy Rohden, who is coming at us live from what looks like a dam, maybe a beaver dam. I don't know. It's just wood on wood on wood. Lucy, what's going on?
I'm in my dad's basement. And so he decided to decorate this place, all wood paneling, and then all wood on the walls. So all the frames are wood, all the furniture is wood. He has slabs of wood hanging on the slabs of wood.
I love it. Well, he must have known that we're going to have Spencer on because no one loves wood more than Spencer. That was a joke that I didn't mean it to turn out the way that it was. Like, I mean, literally, he actually likes wood, but now it feels like I'm implying some things about Spencer that I didn't mean. Sorry, Spencer. I love your beard.
Thank you so much. Do you know what would match it? A bunch of wood paneling behind me. I now have, tell your dad, I now have decor envy. So if he wants to just come down here and make a couple extra bucks and finally give me the masculine space that I need, then yeah, it's the offer's on the table.
We have enough wood to go around. So
this can't.
All right.
Again, the innuendo here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm completely uncomfortable, but it's all right. I rarely get uncomfortable. Charlie looks really happy by it because Charlie loves these type of jokes.
I also there's a Steve Spurrier hanging behind Spencer, which I love as well.
Right over, if you notice, right over the shoulder here. Yeah.
Well, Spencer is representing the SEC. There are only two conferences in college football, and Lucy represents the other in the Big Ten. Charlie, where you want to start, bud?
Right there, because we are in unprecedented territory when it comes to college football. There is the much bantered about conference realignment that's been going on for years, but now Texas and Oklahoma, they're in the SEC. That's weird. Oregon, USC, UCLA, Washington, they're in the Big Ten. That's weird. There are a lot of weird teams in the ACC and the Big 12. Oregon State and Washington are in the Pac-2. And there are no more divisions in Power 4 conferences. So for you guys, the sickos, the college football lunatics who derive so much value from these conferences, are you more or less excited about this season now that it's extra weird, or are you sad that you're losing some of the nostalgia of the way it was?
I don't know if I'm more uncomfortable than anything. I think that's like the best answer. Like, I don't feel less excited for the season or more excited. I'm just like weirded out, and I can't like my brain can't wrap around the fact that like Oregon and Ohio State are in the same conference. That doesn't make sense. USC is going to play at Rutgers. That doesn't make sense. Like, every time I'm like looking at, like, even like a couple days ago, I was looking through like preseason polls, and I was like, wow, SMU is definitely going to get that Group of 5 bid. They're not in the Group of 5 anymore. They're in the ACC. None of it makes sense, and I can't like contextualize it. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So I'm so excited, but I'm so confused.
Are there games in this? And Spencer, I'll come to you in a second. Lucy, are there games in that are created, matchups that are going to be created this season that you are less weirded out by, but more excited by?
I'm not as weirded out by Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC. Yeah. I think they like make sense to me. So like Texas hosting Georgia is going to be really awesome. Ooh, yeah. Oregon and Ohio State, I'm excited for that game, but it doesn't make sense to me. I would say mainly the Big Ten. I'm just like, none of this doesn't add up, and I don't like it. This feels wrong to me.
Yeah, it's not quite as much of a stretch for SEC fans, because the notion of playing Oklahoma or Texas, while still, I think, mentally out of conference for a lot of SEC fans, I think a lot of them buy it in terms of a cultural match. I think that it seems perfectly logical for Arkansas and Oklahoma to play each other, or more to the point, Texas and Arkansas, because they've played historically significant games like that before, right? They played the first game of the century. That's not so much the case in the Big Ten. If Lucy is confused, I'm just going to remain happily ignorant and just wait for the games. Like, I've intentionally cultivated or maybe not so intentionally, cultivated some ignorance about the schedule, because the games are going to surprise me no matter what. So I'm going to see USC at Rutgers, and I'm going to laugh no matter what happens, because that game shouldn't happen. It's just wrong. But now it is not only right, it is an ordained part of the way we run the sport now. So Yeah, it's weird. What I suggest is just blindfold yourself. Just blindfold yourself and get surprised when you see a new team in a new conference playing somebody and you go, oh yeah, weird. That's a conference game now, because that's going to happen whether you're ready for it or not.
I kind of have a feeling that the SEC ones, like you mentioned, Spencer, are going to feel really normal really quickly.
Yeah.
Like Texas and Oklahoma. Sure, Quinn Ewers, you could be an SEC quarterback. Why not? Like that one tracks to me. But to push it forward, because this is a really weird college season, we have a 12-team playoff. How's that make you guys feel? Sorry, this is a terrible question, but that's all I got on it.
Well, I mean, I'm going to go ahead. Lucy, let me jump in here because I have some experience. I've already had a team in the 12-team playoff. That was North Texas, who I coach on EA College Football 25. And let me tell you, there's just no way to prepare your team for that, especially if they have to go into Bryant-Denny and play Alabama. We put up a good fight. It was 48-42, put up a lot of points. Unfortunately, defense allowed a lot of points. That's just a good team. Got to give them all credit over there. But if you're not like me and you don't have experience with the 12-team playoff, then the thing that is going to amaze you is how little 8 through 10 works, because college football is so stratified and so top-heavy in terms of talent that we're going to say, oh, man, there's a chance for Cinderella. Yeah, there is a chance. There's also going to be a lot of glass slippers going underneath like the cement roller, right? Because it's going to be ugly, those like 12-1 games or however you want to seed it.
No, I feel the exact same way. Like, I don't look at this year, but the previous season, the way Georgia beat TCU, that was within a 4-team stretch.
Yeah.
How much better that Georgia was than TCU. You add in 8 other teams to that, like there's just such a difference between 1 through 4 and 4 through 8 and 8 through 12 that you're going to see that, yay, we do get more football, but you're going to have so many blowouts in the first round. Like, you'll get a couple extra competitive games, but it's going to dilute the quality of what we're getting, I think.
Yeah, right now, and by the way, there won't be 112, of course, because they'll get first round buys. But I do think what we have right now is we have a 4-team playoff where that 4 slot can get slaughtered, like can get absolutely killed. It's going to extend the season, I think, in a beneficial way in a playoff scenario, because a short-term playoff, there's nothing that can redeem that game. Nothing. We might have first-round games that are blowouts, but I think the level of competition between 1 and 8, I think that's real. I think interesting things can happen in that space. So I think you will get good matchups. I also think you're just going to get a couple of games that maybe should be classified as war crimes.
I'm super interested. Those games are always unfortunate, especially as a former college football player who had to take part in a couple of those games. They are not fun when you know. Put your gator chomps down, Spencer. They're not fun when you know that you're going to the Orange Bowl to get your kicked by a team that should be a national champion, and you're just Maryland going on a good run. But anyway, not to bring up old I don't feel like getting sad again.
55-3?
Shut up. What was the Hart score though? We had 100 in Hart. We had a great time on South Beach, and they didn't have as much heart as us. They had their eyes on other things. Their starting quarterback didn't even play for the first drive. It was rough.
Who was their starting quarterback?
Rex Grossman.
Oh, RG3.
Yeah,
the original
Rex Grossman. And I was trying my best to stay close to Jabbar Gaffney as a true freshman. Had no chance. He was wide open. Alex Brown.
Oh, he was sick.
We didn't have anybody on. We had 5 offensive linemen and put them all together. They couldn't block Alex Brown. No disrespect to them, but
how quickly did you know that you were completely boned in that game?
Oh, as soon as Rex came in. Yeah, it was like, all right. I mean, we got all hyped up. We like, we believe it. Oh, nah. Running clock, please, Mr. Official. Run that. Run that. Our season was a success. Nobody thought we were going to be as good as we were. We are. Hey. Let's get to this after party, baby.
Domonique, gift bag? Did you get a gift bag?
We got a gift back against Tennessee.
Oh, a gift bag. B-A-G. Did you get the goodie bag? The bowl
goodie
goodie bag.
Get back. Yeah, that just makes me mad. That's nothing to be happy about. That pissed me off.
Really?
Yeah, it pissed me off. That was when I first kind of understood how, and we are here to celebrate college sports, so don't get me started down this. But that's what I was like. We were not very good the year before I got there. I get there, Friesian gets there, we lose one game and win the AC championship and then go get blown out. We come back from the bowl after getting our ass kicked, and all the coaches got new Cadillacs, a Cadillac deal, and Coach Friesian's already negotiated his next contract. And they gave us a bag with a damn portable DVD player in it and some sweatshirts. I was like, what the is this? I'm sorry. Anyway, the 12-team playoff is exciting. And I often think about this, and this relates a little bit to like in CBA negotiations, there are certain things that change and you are optimizing for different things. And the biggest example of this, I think, in football, professional football, was when they changed the rookie pay scale. Then a team, like, it changes how you build your roster and how you're going to succeed. I think the 12-team playoff is going to have a similar effect, and no one's really talking about that. So whereas the, like, college basketball, it's much more random because single elimination, I think we're going to get in a situation where we're looking for more depth, and it might make the halves more interesting, or the halves, like the big schools, more competitive, because some of these teams will end up playing 17 games. So, like, you're going to have to be deep. There are going to be injuries. They're going to be testing these teams. And so it's going to be interesting because the blowouts that you are expecting might get even uglier, because some of these teams might make a deep run and be a highly ranked team, but be decimated. And then they're going to get matched up against Georgia, who has 5 stars on top of 5 stars, and get their doors blown off. It's not a question, just an observation.
Can I make an observation? You were old enough to get a portable DVD player as a gift.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
As an adult.
Yeah.
You were an adult getting a portable DVD. You weren't a child.
18 years old, and they were like, you know what? You would like this on a flight.
Yeah,
I bet you would.
I bet you were watching like Boondock Saints and Belly on that thing.
Deep.
See,
The opening scene in Belly deserves an Oscar, by the way.
Yes,
I just imagine you being like, talking to girls on campus, being like, "Come over and watch something on my portable DVD player, and I'll give you some Orange Bowl gear for your walk home." You were the original Derek Jeter of this.
Oh, well, I mean, let's be honest. Look at his face. You think I had to give gifts? I was balling as a freshman. I just walked up in there with my hoodie on with number 6 on the shoulder. It was like, hey, what up? You see, I just put on. You see how you got uncomfortable? You got all warm? You felt that warmness? That's what that look does. You see?
I just thought you were going to have something better than that really soft, hey, what up?
Again, this is spoken by someone who believes that you need more than that. I don't need more than that. Look at this face, Charlie. You're not looking at me.
Yeah, I was trying to read questions to keep the show good.
Nah, it's just because you're getting uncomfortable, because that looks works on everybody, all genders.
Look.
Sorry that you guys have to be in the middle of this. Apologies, Lucy Spencer, that you're in the middle of this.
No, I'm just feeling kind of warm over here. That's all.
My bad, Spencer. I don't want to distract you. We got questions for you.
I'm blushing. So, Spencer, expectations for Alabama without Saban this year? They got a good coach, and I'm sure they have a ton of talent. But what's fair?
I think fair's 10 wins. Honestly, and that's just going into an increasingly competitive SEC, where you're going to be replacing some parts, but also your whole way of doing things, and that's going to take some time. I also have bad news for Alabama. 10 wins ain't going to cut it. Welcome to hell, Kayla DeVore. We haven't seen Alabama fans unhappy about stuff in a while, and losing 2 games there is going to be kind of a surprise. Which too, I don't know. There's plenty on the schedule to look, especially when you don't actually know what they're going to be rolling out. You don't. You have an idea, but we, for the first time in the better part of almost 20 years, aren't really sure what Alabama is necessarily going to look like on the field. So, I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to be good, but they're at that tricky point where victory and consistent success have inevitably spoiled you, which is always the case at Alabama, a place that's always pretty good at football and then sometimes goes on these generational runs.
I was wondering, and this one's for you, Lucy. I haven't quite landed on what I think about this question, but I'm sure it's something you've given a lot of thought to, is how's the playoff going to impact the excitement that you have for these regular season games? Because there is the argument that adding the broader playoffs takes some of the stakes off of these regular season games, but it also puts more games in play. So are you concerned at all, or have any thoughts on how intensely you'll be watching this college football season?
I'll still care and be excited no matter what happens. I watch Iowa football. I manage to be excited. So, like, I've achieved the impossible. But when it comes to these games, I think the only thing that I think is really going to change is, like, when you lose, everything is over. And that's how the way it's been. Like, Georgia, the best team in the country last year, I think, like, they would have won the national championship had they made the playoff, lost one game and they were out. That was it. They were done. Now you don't have that necessarily as the case, so these losses aren't as devastating as they once were. The only thing I'm worried about excitement-wise is, like, I don't think rivalry games are going to lose any of the juice because people care. They want to beat their rival. I think the thing is, like, it's going to be weird if Michigan and Ohio State play 3 times in a season. Like, that's odd, and that's a possibility if they meet in the Big Ten championship game and then they meet in the regular season and the playoff.
And lose to Georgia.
Yeah, and lose to Georgia. Oh, I can't wait, though, for one NFL thing to sort of creep into college, and it's this. I love that, like, there are Super Bowl winning teams that have gone in and have had horrible games, right? Like, the New England Patriots in the middle of one Super Bowl run, like, lose 45-3 to the Jets, you know? And it doesn't mean anything. But in college, you know what that's going to mean? That's going to mean, like, Mississippi State all year is going to be like, yeah, we did that to you. We did that to your We wrecked you, Alabama. Remember that. They're like, man, you won 5 games this year. You're like, yeah, but you know what one of them was?
It's so true. I was just thinking the way you were describing the college football playoff is like those TikTok videos of a hydraulic press where it just like grows through an entire stack of plates, and that's what these good teams are against the 12 seeds in the playoff. But every once in a while, it'll just be like a rubber bouncy ball and the hydraulic press explodes. And that is Mississippi State in this analogy, which is just wonderderful.
Mississippi State's never been prouder right now, Charlie, than that description of them. The rubber ball that breaks the hydraulic press.
And I feel like I've been a little personally biased towards assuming that the champion is going to come out of SEC. I think it's in part because I don't trust the quarterback play, I guess, in the big time Big Ten schools. I know Will Howard is moving over from Kansas State to Ohio State, but he's not like a world beater. I guess he's an upgrade, but. Oh, yeah. I'll start with Lucy, who knows the Big Ten better than anybody, but we'll get you to Spencer. What can we expect out of those, particularly the big dogs in the Big Ten? Besides Maryland, of course. Everyone knows they're going to be great.
Ohio State is so ridiculously talented this year, it makes me want to throw up, like, everywhere. Like, they made such a killing in the transfer portal that it genuinely makes me sick. They are so talented to the point where it's like, if you don't win, oh, buddy, goodbye, Ryan Day. You are so screwed. I think Will Howard was a really good pickup for them, and they have such a great running back duo that, like, Ohio State is going to be fine offensively. My question with the Big Ten is, like, how does Oregon adjust? Because Oregon is a really, really good team, but you're not a Big Ten team until now. You're playing different styles of games, like Wisconsin, Minnesota. Those are weird teams to play against. Penn State, I don't think about them. So
I got a question though. The Oregon one is super interesting to me. Do you, and I guess maybe there's some track record to speak to who would be more comfortable, but do you think the Big Ten teams are going to have a harder time adjusting to Oregon? And Oregon's a super talented team also, or that Oregon will have a harder time adjusting to the Big Ten style of play outside of Michigan and Ohio State? Obviously, those guys are played lots of big games against these teams outside of their conference.
I think that Oregon's kind of a weird example because I think they're like one of the 4 best teams in the country. They're ridiculously talented. They're a lot better than everybody else. I think the example that works best for me is USC. They play a completely different style of football. I think USC is going to have the toughest time they could ever possibly have playing in the Big Ten because you're facing defenses that you have never seen in your entire life. And it is just, you're not up to par with that. And you have to add in the weather where Oregon already deals with like weird weather. I think Oregon's going to adjust fine just because there's such a big talent gap between Oregon and Illinois, where USC, like, the talent gap is there, but you don't have the grit. They are just not gritty enough.
Yeah.
And I think that applies to UCLA too.
I would be offended if I went to those schools and if I didn't watch them play last year and they had a small forward playing middle linebacker. It upset me. Guy. It drove me crazy.
Dominique's been talking about this guy for a
because he was like 6'5", 185, trying to play Mike. It is unacceptable. You know where it is extra unacceptable? In the Big Damn 10. And those offenses going up against those Big Ten defenses is going to be a problem. You said they're going to see some things that they've never seen before. They absolutely are when they go to Iowa. And you know what I'm talking about.
By the way, what I'm talking about. That was Eric Gentry, and he was 6'6".
6'6", 215.
6'6", 215 playing Mike. That is a receiver size. Stop it. That's not going to work. Those old linemen at Iowa are going to drive right through him. But
beat him 9-3.
Mm-hmm.
They are
high scoring game.
No, you always need a prime number if it's an Iowa score. So somebody's got to be. It's got to be like 11-7. That's no factoring whatsoever.
Lucy, how are you feel? Are you excited to see Iowa's offense without Brian Ferentz?
Oh.
No. Respectfully, no. I think we could be better, but I'm not excited about it in the sense that like we can really only go up.
Yeah.
Like there's it's really hard to go down from there. We'll be better. I'm like in a really mentally ill space in my life where I read one like preview a few days ago that was like I was a dark horse for the playoff, and now I've convinced myself we're going to score 45 points a game and we're going to the playoff, and that needs to stop. I need help.
Yeah, Kirk Ferentz is not going to allow you to score that many points, even if his son's gone.
I was like, that's a lot of
stand in the way of that.
It's a lot of pick sixes. It's a lot of pick sixes.
So many punt returns.
It's going to be great. White corners taking it to the crib every which way. I definitely think the rest of the Big Ten is going to be really confused by that, lining up across from white cornerbacks. Iowa's the only school that I've ever seen that's competitive that has white cornerbacks, and they found another one. Good for them.
They found another one?
Yeah, they found another one. You think, hold on. You think Kirk Ferentz going to run out there without a white cornerback?
John Nestor?
How dare you? How dare you disrespect
There's like a
that
factory.
man? Yeah, he's Kirk Ferentz.
So we have a shared Google Doc for this show, and there was a screenshot of a tweet with John Nestor in it. I just thought it was Cooper. I didn't even consider reading the text.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're damn right. It's not Cooper DeJean. They are supplying them. They put Moss in the NFL. Cooper DeJean, like Kirk Ferentz is obviously taking advantage of the closed-mindedness of the rest of college football. Kirk Ferentz has some issues with his racial relationships also. However, he is taking advantage of all these athletic white people that no one else thinks can play anything but slot receiver. Good for Kirk Ferentz.
All these white corners look the same.
Did you have a question for Spencer? Or I felt like Spencer had something to say, but we got carried away.
I got nothing to say about that matter. You have covered.
No. You had something to say about something else. There was something else you had to say about college football. You always have something to say about college football.
I do, and what I would like to say is, I was going to win 10 games this year.
We do every year. Every year we win 10 games.
Just a solid.
None of it's fun.
A solid T-bill of a program. Do you want that low yield, steady IRA return? Give it to your broker, Kirk Ferentz. That's why. Is he going to make you rich? No, but guess where you're not going? The poorhouse.
I remember what it was. It was Howard. It was the quarterback of Ohio State. I said that he wasn't a world beater, and you wrinkled your nose at me.
No, you're underselling him a little bit. Okay, good feet, good feet, make smart decisions with the ball. Really, really smart dude. That's not belittling. That's not saying, oh, what a cerebral quarterback. Usually, when you say that, that means he's got a rag arm. That usually means that like he makes the read so far ahead of time because he has to. No, no, he's good, and he's going to be. I think he's going to be a dramatic upgrade from what they had, because Ohio State was pretty good with a guy, Kyle McCord, who had some issues from time to time with a really good receiving core and a lot of tools. But there's also this. If he does struggle, I want everybody to look at that offensive line, because every team, I promise you, every team has something that they are lacking, because nobody gets to go and get everything from the store that they want, okay? It's not the kind of grocery store we're running here in college football, okay? They're out of something. And the thing that Ohio State might struggle with, and that they struggled with a little bit last year, was protection along the offensive line. Getting an offensive line to play 5 good games all at the same time has been very, very difficult. So if he does struggle, and if the offense does stagnate at times, look to protection. We should do that more often, generally, by the way, when we talk about quarterbacks struggling. Most of the time, they're flat on their back for a reason. The offensive line, it's hard to recruit them. If you want to know the biggest, I think, side effect personnel-wise from the transfer portal, besides quarterbacks just going, I'm going somewhere else, and then going like, you know what? I'm going to be an exchange student over here, just kind of hopping schools until something works. developing offensive line is now a completely different animal than it was 15 or 20 years ago, just because there's so much mobility and it takes so much time to grow and really get a coherent, cohesive offensive line. And that's just something that's getting a little bit rare with the kind of flux and the kind of turnover that they have at that position. There.
Yeah, it's always been a difference. It's always been a difference, and now it's even more haves and have-nots, but it's always been one of the major differences in the talent in the bigger schools and the not-so-big schools. It's hard to find 6'5", 305 that can move their feet. Like, it's tough to find a bunch of those. Notre Dame, they're not in a conference, and I discovered as I was preparing for this that this means that they can only get as high as the 5th seed. It may not matter this year, but is there any expectation that Notre Dame will kowtow and get into a conference at some point, because they can't get a first-round bye, right? If you assume that they want to win a national championship, the first-round bye is going to be important. Now, as the rules are currently constructed, the byes are just the top-seeded conference championship or conference champions. You can't be a conference champion if you're not in a conference. Loose.
I don't know if I ever see Notre Dame joining a conference, and partially that is just because of like the Notre Dame, like we're better than you, and we're not gonna resort to being in the same conference as Illinois. Like, we would never do that. I don't think Notre Dame's ever gonna join a conference, because I think that Notre Dame is always gonna have that 5 spot. I think it's always gonna belong to them. I think no matter what happens in the season, they're gonna be like, just put them in at 5. Like, Notre Dame, I feel like, is going to be in the playoff every single year, and I don't think that anything will get them to leave, because if they weren't already ready to leave with the money that the Big Ten and the SEC and all these conferences are offering, they're not going to do it now, where they get everything they want in every sport, and they pretty much will have an automatic bid to the playoff every year.
Yeah, that's a great point, Lucy, that this only expanded their safety net in terms of performance. It's not like institutionally they're not committed to football anymore. They still are, and they're going to be just good enough. In fact, this expanded that, because now if they have a loss, that's fine. If they have 2 losses, honestly, let's get down to that 8 or 9 spot. Okay. You want to talk about a dream for a TV exec, that while they're trying to fortify this already probably pretty robust selection of content by region, they just get to throw Notre Dame in there. No, this expanded the lifeline of independent Notre Dame, even if for scheduling purposes, they may from time to time crash on the ACC's couch.
I might be putting you on the spot a little bit here, Spencer, and Lucy, you could think about this also. But once you brought up the way that the landscape changes for Notre Dame, it makes me wonder if there are other teams that will benefit from the new way that college football works out. So, like, you get raised into a higher echelon if you're considered a playoff team. So, like, and then you can recruit off of that, and you can grow. Like, are there teams that are well positioned to put themselves in a higher tier now that the playoffs have expanded, and maybe they can use this to build?
I think you naturally want to look at teams that either people want to put in because they're big and because they've been historically big. So the number 2, number 3, number 4 teams from every conference period benefit as long as they travel well, as long as they are established TV draws, which I really don't think that's the decision that playoff committee makes when they're inviting people. I just think it's probably always subliminally in the back of someone's mind. They go, oh, yeah, that's a big team, And I say that just like you look at the top 25 from last year, and in the top 10, Missouri's right there. Okay. And Ohio State at the end of the season would rank lower. But if you're looking at those teams and you go, well, who are we going to invite in the playoff? You're going to go, 100% Ohio State, even though that's not how their bowl game went, right? If you're just looking at which team to take based on fan base and which on historical presence, by brand, you're probably reaching for Ohio State first, even that's not necessarily what the on-field results are going to be. In terms of independent programs, or in terms of programs that are in smaller conferences but have a whole lot of ambition, this is where you get teams like SMU that has a lot of football ambition, right? And doesn't necessarily belong in that tier of conferences because they're in the American. You get teams like the SMU or teams like or a team like Liberty, who they're very hustle forward, very well capitalized programs that want football to be big. That's who's really gunning for that 12 and 11 spot. And that's who really wants to increase their visibility. For them, it's as much about getting there as it is about succeeding when they're there.
I agree with that 100%. I think one team specifically is Penn State. I think they benefit off this so much. You don't have to win the big games anymore. You don't. You're going to be a top 10 team all year long. You're going to make it into the playoff. I think Penn State benefits from it a lot, and I think that the top teams in the ACC and the Big 12 are going to benefit because Oklahoma State is always a team that you're like, wow, they're always in this conversation, but they're never going to make it. Now the door's open for that. The same thing with a school like Kansas State. You look at the ACC, which I don't know who's good in the ACC. It feels like kind of hard to decide these days. But whoever in the ACC, Louisville, I don't know. They now have like a much easier entryway to the playoff because you also have that automatic bid.
Lucy, one thing that I want to just introduce you to, we're going to introduce everybody to this gag, okay? Because I don't think it's a gag. When the playoff was conceived and became reality, one of my favorite first things that anyone said was, this is an amazing chance for James Franklin and Penn State to lose a home playoff game. It's what they were born to do. And if you look at the history of James Franklin at Penn State thus far, that's their specialty. It's just losing big games that everyone gets really hyped for. This is one more. So it may be good for Penn State. I don't know how good it's going to be for James Franklin because it's just one more chance to go ahead and hang this like running joke on another rung.
We are the James Franklin of podcasts as a Vanderbilt graduate and a Maryland person who's recruited by James Franklin.
Yeah, so we're pro Frank podcast because he made Vanderbilt matter for 30 seconds.
Yes, he
did. And
did.
he convinced me to go to Maryland, which I guess I should have regretted when we played Florida.
I like his tweets.
Yeah, he was driving around Vanderbilt's campus once, and I had a buddy. We were throwing a football outside. I can't jump over a credit card. Ball sailed over my head and he just rolled down the window and he's like, Jesus Christ, get off the ground one time. I was like, I love this guy.
Outstanding James Franklin story. Charlie,
what's up?
what else you want to talk about?
Oh, is Michigan gonna suck now?
Yeah.
No.
But are they going to be less
They are gonna
awesome
be
without Jim Harbaugh?
Let's be clear. We have a producer that goes to Michigan or that went to Michigan, and Charlie asked that question that way only to troll Brian. Obviously, Charlie doesn't think they're going to suck, but I guess they could be on a downward slope because Harbaugh was a difference maker.
Let me rephrase it then. We think Alabama's going to win 10 games with Kalen DeBoer. In the post-legendary coach era, obviously Jim Harbaugh is not in the legendary coach status of Nick Saban, who is a monolith. Do you see them taking a bigger step back than sort of a 10-win team, or do you think they will continue on the path that Jim Harbaugh got them where they were last year as the national champs?
They're not going to be national champs again for a long time. I think they've already started to struggle with recruiting a bit since Jim Harbaugh has left. They're still going to be very good. Like Michigan will be a 9 to 11 win team every year and maybe a couple outliers in there. Like this season specifically, they're probably going to go 9-3. They have one of the best defenses in the country. They've lost a lot, but Michigan will always continue to be a power in some sort. I don't know if we'll see another national championship run in a long time, though.
Mm-hmm. I'll say one thing to look at this year. You say they're going to miss Jim Harbaugh. They're going to miss J.J. McCarthy.
They are.
Because if you've read any of the practice reports coming out of spring practice about what the quarterback situation looks like, do you like the wing T? How do you feel about the single wing? Do you like running QB power? Would you like to run QB power for an entire season in the year 2024? It might be a pretty good option for them. They should look into it. I mean, I'm dead serious. They would probably win 9 games if they did that.
I love the wing T, big flex bone guy.
Mm-hmm.
If we're getting back to
Did you ran the wing T in high school?
No. How dare you disrespect me? We
disrespect the wing T.
Yeah, no, we ran the spread. I just didn't throw the ball. I was a quarterback for the last 8 games of my senior year.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Like 3 times.
I'm sorry, Dominique. You ran the wing T with spinners and with
Pretty
spoilers
much.
and
That's
fancy sparklers, right?
It was a fancy wing T. We just spread out the wing T because it would be embarrassing.
We called that the J.J. McCarthy.
It'd be very embarrassing to be out there in a 3-point stance on the wing. So we ran it, but we just stood up doing it. You want to get to some
Let's get to the fun stuff.
Yeah,
Spencer, can you tell us some about your dynasty? I'm really glad you used North Texas as a frequent head coach of North Texas.
I do, yeah. I am the architect of the smooth jazz offense. It's complex and yet simple and intuitive all at the same time at UNT, known for both our musical essayists, our musical composition program, and also for, great football. And for Stone Cold Steve Austin. So we try to, we do a melange of different things. I got to admit, recruiting's picking up a little bit, but it could be better. We went 12-2 in our first season there, and we're going through the offseason, lost a lot along the offensive line. So it looks like we're going to be switching to a quick passing attack. Quick passing attack.
You're a player or a simulator only?
I play both. I play.
Okay,
so I will coach and play. I know people who just put it on coach mode, which I have to say, my friend Kofi Yebwa, you should see his YouTube channel or his TikToks. He's extremely funny, and he plays on coach mode, and it's just him doing this. It's just him because he's got a freshman QB who's just throwing like 6 picks a game, and he refuses. He's got to learn, so he's just calling passes.
Honestly, I think that's the way to go. I think that's the way to go. You can't step into their brain. It's not a real test of your coaching ability. This is a test of your playing ability.
No, he's sitting there. He'll go you'll see him go triangle, and he'll throw it. He'll throw like a pick 6 straight to a covered guy.
All right. Yeah. I gotta get on this YouTube channel and watch it. Lucy, you a video game person or nah?
Not really. I have too many hobbies.
Yeah, I was gonna say, which hobby do we want to focus on right now? Last time I talked to you, you were scrapbooking.
I am into scrapbooking.
Junk scrapping? Was that what it was?
Yes. It's my junk journal.
Oh, so do you want to talk about junk journaling? Do you want to talk about your thrifting? What of your many hobbies would you like to share with us?
I think I haven't really been thrifting as much. I did find this little Iowa water bottle guy
it's a water bottle.
In Savannah, Georgia. Said gotta buy it. Wow. This is a sign from the gods. And then Charlie was with me when I ordered this. I got my purse phone, which I'm so excited to show everyone.
That is fire.
And it works, so you can call me and I can pick up and say, hello.
So is there
Lucy on the purse phone?
Hold on. So there's like a connection in there for your cell phone or something like that?
Yes, it's Bluetooth connected.
That is pretty.
It has changed my life. I bring this purse phone with me everywhere, and I get stopped on the street like 5 times a day of people being like, I love the purse phone. And then I always do a demonstration. It's like I'm a street performer because people will circle around and I'll text my brother, like, call me right now, Jack. And then he'll call me and I'll be like, hello. And it's so cool. Yeah. And everyone thinks it's awesome.
I gotta tell you, somebody thinks you're the feds. That's what that is. Somebody thinks you're the feds.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's cover.
I'm on a call, Spencer. I can't hear you.
It's a great thrift pickup right there. The purse. Oh, that was an order. That wasn't thrift store, right?
It's Betsy Johnson. Thrifting is not like, for Miami being such a like weird place with so many old people. You think the thrifting in a state sale market would be better, but it's really bad.
Mm. All right. More importantly, as a recent Iowa grad, let's get into the real important stuff. Caitlin Clark.
Okay.
What do we have to say about Caitlin Clark right now? How much do you love her?
I'm happy she has a break. She deserves a break. Dawn Staley coming out and been like, I don't know, Caitlin should have made the Olympic team. I wish she wouldn't have said that because now that lives in my brain and it's just been sitting there ever since and I want to get it out of my brain. She has been so awesome the last few weeks. I saw this crazy stat that like she has more assists than like 75% of players in WNBA history. Mm-hmm. And she's not even through her first season yet. She is absolutely insane. She's not doing what she did at Iowa, like scoring wise, which I never really expected her to do that. She was playing against, such a different competition when she was at Iowa. But the way that her passing and just like her vision and everything is translated, I am so, so proud of her. I saw that she went grocery shopping and people were taking pictures with her. She seemed really sad about that. So I hope people leave her alone. Let her grocery shop in peace. But I'm happy for her. The fever has been awesome lately. I hope she enjoys her break. And Caitlin, if you need a kidney, you can have mine. You got it. I'll cut it out right now. I love her.
Spencer, Caitlin Clark opinions?
She's good.
Okay.
It's my opinion too. She's really good.
She's really good. She's good at basketball.
I thoroughly enjoy the nervousness that comes out of Charlie when he's talking about how good Caitlin Clark is. It makes me happy. I can freely say how good I think she is, but Charlie always gets a little uncomfortable. Like she's kind of she's good, I think.
She's really good at basketball.
Period.
Yeah. She'd beat you 11-0 in one-on-one. It would be glorious. I'd love to watch it.
Beat who?
You.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I thought that's not nothing to be proud of. She beat a retired football player in basketball.
That's a good point.
Yeah, she should be in the Olympics, though. Sorry, Lucy, about that. I would love to have her in the Olympics because the USA, as was that the Japanese fan who had the sign that said, you can't beat us without Caitlin? And then
Wish she hadn't have done that. I felt like that wasn't necessary. The USA team is amazing. They're phenomenal. They don't need Caitlin, but I wish she was there.
Oh, well. All right. Well, thank you both so much. Spencer, you're the best. Lucy, you are tied for the best. Charlie, you're all right. Thanks to all the great producers. I love you, Podville. We out.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.